Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the launching of the national strategy for engaging the Djiboutian diaspora at the Diplomatic Institute for the health meeting to present and validate the communication and social mobilization plan for the introductions of the new COVID-19. For the international scene, tougher health measures in Europe, but good news on the vaccine front. Welcome to our newsroom. Prime Minister His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed decorated the Ambassador of Djibouti in France, Mr. Ayed Musad Yahye, with the Medal of Knight of the Orders of the Great Star of Djibouti. Mr. Ayed Musad Yahye received this medal for service to the nations as a diplomat of Djibouti. Mr. Ayed Musad Yahye is the Ambassador of Djibouti to France and the UNESCO, and to UNESCO he had previously held the post of Ambassador of Djibouti to Cuba. The Prime Minister congratulated Ambassador Aid Musad Yahye, who thanked him for these distinctions, which will be a further motivation in the accomplishment of its mission for the benefit of the Republic of Djibouti. Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed received this afternoon a largest Saudi delegation led by the Ambassador of Saudi to Djibouti, Mr. Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah Al Madar, for a courtesy visit. The Saudi delegation was strong, with several members of the volunteers of the Saudi medical team under the directions of the Saudi Volunteer Foundation, Mr. Abdul Wahab Suleiman Al Jubab, which provided health services to the Djiboutian population, including surgery for young people at the Peltier Hospital. The Saudi delegation was introduced to the Prime Minister by the Minister of Health, Mohammed Warsama Diriye. The Saudi medical team has conducted dozens of surgical operations as part of this medical action led by the Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center of King Salman of Saudi Arabia. This operation focused on the serious pathology and urological complications in patients under the 15 years of age. Prime Minister received this morning at his office a delegation of International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent societies led by Mohamed Mokher, Regional Director for Africa. He was accompanied by Mr. John Roche Dubois Olivier Tree from the CCR Nairobi office. He was accompanied by Mr. Abdi Farah, President of the Red Crescent of Djibouti, Mr. Abdi Farah, Secretary General, and Mahdi Mohammed, the advisor for the Red Crescent of Djibouti. The Prime Minister was present, the Chief of Staff of the Prime Minister's offices, Mr. Ali Sila Abdallah. The regional directors in his intervention insisted on the fruitful cooperation between the CICR and the Red Crescent Djiboutian, and wished the strengthening of already solid relations existing between the IFRC and the Republic of Djibouti. He also welcomed the support of the government of Djibouti for the humanitarian activities carried out by the Red Crescent. In addition to the meeting with the Prime Minister, delegation of the International Red Cross and Red Crescent societies, led by Mohamed Mokher, met with the Minister of Interior, Mumin Ahmed Sheikh, and his close collaborator. The delegation was accompanied by the leaders of the Djibouti Red Crescent. Discussions focused on cooperation between Djibouti and the International Federations of Red Cross and Red Crescent society, and ways to consolidate the advantages of the future, the support of the Djiboutian government, its Djiboutian government to humanitarian activities, and the creation of a regional office were also at the center of discussions. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, chaired this morning, Thursday, February 25, the launch of the National Strategy of Engagement of the Djiboutian Diaspora at the Institute of Diplomatic Studies. The objective of this meeting was to set the broad lines of structuring the Djiboutian diaspora to participate actively in the sustainable development, were also present the head of the International Organization for Migration Missions in Djibouti, Stephanie Davio, and officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation. For his part, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, thanked the officials of the diaspora in of the Djiboutian diaspora GDD, and he thanked the International Organization for Migration for their efforts strengthening to to boost the society and the diaspora, the Djiboutian diaspora in the world. At the end of the exchanges and discussions around the panels, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahamoud, proceeded to the official closing of the fair and the international forums of school publishing. These first sessions of the international fair and forums of school publishing was an opportunity to appreciate the experience acquired by Crippen in the control of the editorial chain, which is the source of originality and diversity of Crippen's production. Textbooks, reading books, and audiovisual answers to COVID-19 national languages, textbook for refugee schools, braille textbooks for visually impaired children. The exchanges were able to demonstrate the importance of integrating school publishings in the framework of a global reform. The debate addressed without detour or languages of wood, the specific training useful to teachers for an effective use in class of the new didactic and pedagogical tools and the measurement of the expected results. In addition, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahamoud, stressed that the pandemic and the pandemic of COVID-19 and the special needs that resulted in terms of content through, but also the best teaching materials used have changed during this period of health crisis to the better cover all students and be more effective in educational continuity. This fair and this international forum of school publishing was also a great showcase for Crippen, which was rediscovered from every angle. For need, we remind you the history of its transformation and the various components of its functioning were in the spotlight during these 2 days of symposium. The Minister of Health, Muhammad Warsama Diriye, the Minister of Communication and Postal Communication, Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, jointly chaired a meeting for the presentation and validation of the communication social mobilization plan for the introductions of the new COVID-19 vaccine. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Saleh Benoita Turab, the Chairman of the Commission is in charge of introduction vaccine against COVID-19, Dr. Ahmed Roble, Member of the Government of the Commissions, and the Director of RTD, Mahmoud Suleiman Hared. The discussion is focused on the ways and means of implementing the national plan for effective communication around the upcoming introductions and the deployment of COVID-19 vaccines. This plan includes an intense preparatory phase that targets a better understanding of health issues and free access to information related to the social mobilizations of the national COVID-19 immunization campaign. The Minister of Muslim Affairs, Culture and Waqf Property, Mumin Hassan Barre, received in his office the Director General of UNESCO, Ms. Audrey Azoulay, accompanied by our ambassador in Paris, Ayed Moussad Yahye, the Assistant Director General in charge of the Africa Department, Mr. Firmin Matoko, and the Chief of Staff of the Director General, as well as the Counselor of the Embassy of Djibouti in Paris, Mohamed Omar Jama. After welcoming the Director General, the Minister welcomed UNESCO's effort to make culture an important factor in building more supportive, resilient, and inclusive societies. He congratulated the Director General for her dynamism through the progress she has made and the effort she has made to enable UNESCO to fully assume its mission in the defense humanist values and disseminations of the culture of peace and conviviality. The Minister of Energy and the Minister of Higher Education presided over the signing ceremony of partnership agreement between ADME, represented by Dr. Saeed Omar Abdullahi, third represented by Mr. Jaluddin Mohammed, and the ENSD, represented by Idris Ali Sultan, in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Finance at the People's Palace. This conventions are part of the strengthening of the policy of the agency in close collaboration with these institutions in order to carry out its mission, which is to promote energy efficiency and energy management, and can benefit from their expertise in the field of research, research and the census of energy data of the population with ENSD in order to determine the real energy demand of household by sorting and be able to bring innovations, whether in the field of construction, in the promotions of the less energy consuming appliance. The Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Nabil Muhammad Ahmed, in his speech to recall that they served on the part of the scientific competence of the quality of this researcher can bring in the energy efficiency and effectiveness in various ways. For his part, the Minister of Energy, Yunus Ali Geddi, to recall the role of the Energy Management Agency, ADME, which is to facilitate the control of the environmental, economic, social impact related to the use of energy. A solidarity and an outstanding sense of citizenship, a meeting of strong, responsible, and supportive youth who came to show their heart that fight in union, their aspirations and willingness to join their effort so that of the health state for the continuity of the national policy put in place for the sustainable development during this event, which brought together these mornings at Al-Rahma complex all sectors of the populations of the town and many others from elsewhere. Many wanted to show their solidarity and support to the health state for his action in favor of the poor. Through this initiative, the aim is to give free rein to the ambitions of the health state, the instigator of pilot projects for sustainable development, and to give him his support for a new mandate. Participate in the event the Secretary General at the Presidency and the Secretary General at the Prime Minister's office, the Mayor of the City of Djibouti, National Representative, the President of the Balbala Municipality, the Vice President of Balbala Municipality, local elected officials of the Balbala, the President and neighborhood councillors, young leader of the respective neighborhoods. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, received Thursday, February 25, in his office at the General Staff of the Army, the new military attaché of the U.S. Embassy in Djibouti, Captain Corey Johnston. This courtesy visit is part of his contact with the military authorities of the countries. During his meeting, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim was assisted by Colonel Major Mohammed Qayad Gelle and head of the logistic division is Colonel Fuad Elmi Wais, the central director of the materials, the chief of staff of CMGA, the assistant of the director of international relations. The CMGA first of all addressed his warm congratulations to the military attaché for his accreditation in Djibouti and welcomed him and wished him a pleasant stay in the Republic of Djibouti. As part of the celebrations of the World Mother Language Week, Afar Pen organized an evening event at the headquarters of the Union for Cultural Development. The colorful evening brought together the traditional dancer. The troupe called Lucy. A poetry contest was also on the menu of this evening, and the big winners of this poetry contest is Mr. Mohamed Gadito, who moved with his verses to the participants and spectators. The Secretary General of the Afar Pen, Mr. Mohamed Humet, and the Professor of University of Samara, Ms. Fatuma Abito, took part in this event, as well as Ms. Amina Mansour, Director of the Department of Women's Improvement in Ethiopia, Afar region of the locality of Afambo. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, His Excellency Hassan Mohammed Kamil, had an important delegation's visit this historic city of Hayu, where he was welcomed by the prefect of the region, Mr. Abdul Malik Mohammed Benoita, the president of the regional council, Mohammed Humed, the senior officials and distinguished guests. Leaders of the international tech ball made a brief stop at the Obok prefecture for a fine-tuning of in accordance with the objectives of this trip. All officials during this pause for the refreshment express pride that is retained Djibouti among African countries to benefit from this material and human support for the promotions of tech ball. This delegation is composed of the senior officials, namely the Secretary General of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Khadija Ibrahim Idris, the President of the National Olympic Committee, Ms. Asha Garat Ali.
Et son développement pour les sports qui sont nouveaux.
On the sport page of this edition is within the framework of the organizations of the first edition of the half marathon of Djibouti next March 5 at an international expert sent by the International Federations of Athletics has started this morning the drawing of the courses of the competition on the main arteries of the capital. These operations of course tracing will allow to this race of the first editions of this half marathon of Djibouti, a certifications of this one on behalf of the international organizations of athletics. That racing operation was delivered in the presence of Mr. Abdurrahman Osman Adawe, national trainers and member of the technical committee of the Djiboutian Federation of Athleticism. In an interview given to the national television, he indicated that the importance of this operation, which consists in the conditions of organizations of this race to international standards.
I'm an international measurer for course measurements, and I'm here to measure the courses of the race courses of the International Djibouti Half Marathon. My job here is to follow the reglement, to follow the rules, and to follow the shortest possible way the runners do at the race day. So we put marks for 5 kilometers, for 10 kilometers, for 15 kilometers, for every intermediate kilometer on the course, as well as for the start and for the finish.
As part of the protection of persons and property, elements of the police stations of the first district of the capital proceeded to the seizure of about 2 containers of the rice expiry since April 4, 2020 and unfit for consumption. So the people involved in this case changed the bags of rice with the expiration date and put the expired rice in new bags with an expiration date of 2022. These bags of expired rice were estimated to have a monetary value of 25,000 US dollars, more than 4 million Djibouti francs. It must be noted that these important seizures of expired rice by the police officers of the first district undoubtedly contribute to the health of citizens who were likely to buy these products. In the framework of the fight against the illicit traffic of contraband of all kinds, the police officer of Ali Sabih detachment under the command of the Commander Mahdi Umar Jama have undertaken a large-scale operations to put an end to this kind of illicit activities. It was on 21 February about 86 p.m. that police officers of the Ali Sabih detachment deployed in the corridors of the regions of Ali Sabih in order to dismantle smuggling networks. This operation resulted in the seizures of 13 parcels of cat and several cartons of Yemeni milk, who 6 million the national police in collaboration with the customs agents proceeded to the destructions of these goods. For the international news, towers health measures in Europe, but good news on the vaccine front. It was not a surprise for the inhabitants of Dunkirk, struck by a new alarming increase of the COVID-19 epidemic. The northern France agglomerations will in turn be confined on weeks starting this weekend. The situation is deteriorating and is very worrying. In about 10 French departments, Prime Minister Jean Castex will speak at the end of the day. New measures could therefore be taken. Yesterday, the Minister of Health, Olivier Véran, declared that in Dunkirk and in the community of communes of the top of Flanders, a confinement will be set up next weekend. So starting this weekend, the usual derogations will remain in force for certain reasons, such as purchase of basic necessity or for medical reasons that you already know. Stores, other grocery stores will be closed. I repeat, the epidemic dynamics are not good in our country and in Europe in general. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.